And that frustration from the president over the way the Iran war is going, lashing out at South Korea yesterday. Also, Admiral, at our ally Oman, which has been the mediator in these negotiations with Iran. Here's what the president said yesterday.
This morning you said you would bomb the S out of Oman if they got in the way of reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Would you say you're out of patience with Oman, a strategic partner?
No, I don't think they'd behave very well, but we'd handle them very easily, just like we do other things.
We'd handle them very easily, he says, of our ally in the Gulf there. Admiral, what does he mean there when he says they haven't behaved very well? And what do you make of his comments about our ally?
I can only imagine. This is a head scratcher. I'm really having a hard time getting my head around why he made those comments about Oman. Oman is working diligently and in quiet cooperation with Mr. Kushner and Mr. Witkoff to get a deal open, to get the Strait open through a negotiated deal. Now, it won't be permanent. Obviously, it'll include some sort of framework for monitoring and verification that obviously we need to be able to get rid of over time. But they're working diligently here to try to get that Strait open, which I know is a priority for the Trump administration. So saying comments like this and bullying Oman when they're really one of the few friends you have left in the Middle East that's willing to actually do something about getting the Strait open just makes no sense at all. And all he's doing by making comments like that is reinforcing for our allies, back to the Wall Street Journal editorial, reinforcing for our allies in the Middle East that the United States cannot be trusted and is not a sustainable long-term partner.
Admiral, good morning. To that point, the Wall Street Journal also has some really good reporting in the last day or so about Iran's efforts to take this war to a new phase, considering more aggressive tactics going forward, using this somewhat of a ceasefire in the last couple months to replenish their munitions, get their proxy groups ginned up to threaten, their neighbors in the region. And they're viewing this, and we want to get your reaction to it. They're viewing what we're seeing now as just the first step to a much longer conflict. They don't trust the United States. They don't feel like they can believe as much as we don't trust them. They don't think that we can be trusted to actually work out a deal. So they believe more war is coming.
I think there's some logic there, too. I mean, again, you have to remember there's a fractured government in Iran. The hardliners seem to be holding sway over the new supreme leader. They have no desire to negotiate, no desire to end this. They want to extend the amount of pain for the United States and Mr. Trump as long as they possibly can. And, of course, there's no trust with the United States. There hasn't been for 50 years. It's at an all-time low now based on the fact that every time they do sit down at the table with the United States bombs them. And every time we bomb them, then the hardliners react. So what I'm concerned about here is both sides are trying to wait each other out economically. They've sort of taken a pause on the military components of this, believing they can just wait each other out. The Iranians think that the political clock is against Donald Trump. Donald Trump thinks that the economic clock is against the Iranian regime. I think both sides might be misreading the other. But one more point on this with Iran, the hardliners who are in control don't really care about economic consequences. They just care about regime survival. It is the pragmatists, the ones who don't have the power with the supreme leader, who actually care about the economic consequences. And so while Mr. Trump is not wrong to see that the economy of Iran is in tatters and failing and as a pressure point, what I worry about is he's miscalculating with who he's negotiating with and who actually has the power. And the hardliners, they don't care about that economic clock at all.
Yeah. I want to get you in on the USS Abraham story as well. Obviously, there's been reporting from us at MS Now, from CNN, from the New York Times, across many media outlets about the dire conditions aboard that ship that's been out for about 9 months. Its most recent port stop was back in December in Guam. We've heard about sailors jumping off the ship, shortages of food and supplies and all of those things. And yet, President Trump yesterday in the Oval Office dismissing those reports, which, by the way, are coming to us and other media outlets from the families of the sailors and Marines aboard that ship. Here's what the president said yesterday.
Mr. President, is there enough food on the USS Lincoln?
Yeah, it is. That was a CNN fake report. The Lincoln has been out there for a period of time, good period of time. But over the years, we've had them out there much longer. I was at a group meeting, and an admiral came up to see me over the weekend. And it was at a big group, and he happened to be an admiral retired. He said, I've been on ships that are out there much longer than that, sir. And I know people on the Lincoln, they say it's beautifully maintained and beautifully taken care of. And other people went out and they found out to be true. It was fake news reporting from CNN.
Well, those stories, Admiral, again, come from the families of the sailors and Marines aboard that ship to us and many other media outlets. The president dismissing them out of hand. He said a few days ago when he was asked if the Lincoln had been out too long, he said, not nearly long enough was his quote. As someone who's been on these ships, who's led men and women aboard these ships, what's your reaction to all of it?
Well, I don't know what retired admiral he said he was talking to that had been out longer, because the Lincoln actually set a record here for length of time at sea without hitting a port call. I just think it's incredibly disappointing that the commander-in-chief can at least show a little empathy here and understanding for the stress and the strain that he has put these sailors and families through. And I mean, look, sailors and ships are resilient things, and I'm sure that the sailors on the Lincoln are proud of their service and what they've done and how they have executed the president's orders here against Iran. But that doesn't mean that it was easy. It doesn't mean that it wasn't without stress, and it doesn't mean that the families aren't and haven't been anxious about not only the health and welfare of their loved ones, but their eventual return. Just showing a little empathy, the way Admiral Cooper did when he visited the Lincoln just before she wrapped up her time there, and just acknowledging the fact that mental health is a real thing when you're at sea that long and you're under that kind of strain. And when there's so much uncertainty in the decision-making process, that would have been a better answer, I think, for the commander-in-chief in the Oval Office, to just say, look, I'm proud of them. They've worked hard, but I know it's been difficult for them and their families, and we're going to get them home as soon as we can, and we're going to get them the support they need if they need mental health support when they get home. That would have been a much better answer for a commander-in-chief.
And we've got another ship going out to relieve them, John, the USS George Washington.
Right. And Admiral, let's just take this and twin it with something else, too. The conditions, the lengthy deployment, the record-setting deployment, as you note, of this aircraft carrier, combined with the distinct lack of munitions that were running out, especially of defensive interceptors and stuff for the region. What does that tell you about right now the leadership at the Pentagon, when it seems like so much planning just simply wasn't done in an effective manner for a war like this?
Because there was no strategy here for an end game, Jonathan. There was no actual plan. They had got convinced that they could just do regime change with a couple of missile strikes, and that would topple everything in Iran, and it would be over like Venezuela. There was no long-term thinking about this going on for now months on end. And one of the ways you can tell that is the food issue and the restocking of the ships and the weapons out there. They have to do everything at sea right now because you can't pull these ships into port to replenish their stocks because the ports aren't safe, because Iran still has missiles and drones that are attacking those ports. That would have been a foreseeable problem had the military been able to think long term here. But they weren't able to think long term because there was no political strategy to actually end this war and to achieve strategic outcomes, actually define outcomes that were achievable. There was none of that. And now here we are with, ships being deployed for months and months and months at sea, way longer than they should be. Stockpiles that are being diminished greatly. So to the degree where you're taking them from the Indo-Pacific to feed the war in the Middle East. And of course, now an economic crisis in the Strait of Hormuz that has no end in sight.
And with all this going on, the Secretary of Defense yesterday in the state of Iowa campaigning for Republican candidates. MS Now national security analyst, retired Rear Admiral John Kirby. Admiral, thanks so much as always. We appreciate it.